Hello, and welcome to, well, a bit of a departure for us. Today, it's just talking, so it's myself, and joining me once again, and for once outside the confines of Valheim, my lovely fiancée, Harebuck.
Hello.
Hey, he's here. It is great. But yeah, so this is the sort of thing we've done this before. Well, not on the stream, obviously, but as is should be moderately obvious on the Twitch site. I do take part in an actual play RPG podcast called The Cult of Tea and Dice. And we have on occasion done what we lovingly refer to as talky episodes, where just sit around and talk about something, and it usually ends up taking like 2 hours. So, this is basically that, but it's live. Fuck it, we'll do it live on a stream. Because that's always a good idea. It's fine. It just means Mordrigan can't cut out any of my political insults, but it's fine because this isn't his responsibility. He can't get blamed if I get arrested for this. So. I don't. Well, that's not going to happen unless I say anything about Kate Middleton. But I'm not going to say anything about Kate Middleton, so fine. But yeah. So anyway, sorry. You wanted to do the official intro with a dad joke, so hey, Buck, go ahead.
Oh, oh. What is a dragon's favorite sitcom?
I don't know. What is the dragon's favorite sitcom?
Wyvern and Shirley.
Oh god damn it! How did I not remember you were gonna literally? He went off on this on our D&D game last Sunday because we do a D&D game over Discord with a bunch of well, I mean, they were originally mostly just people he knew. I didn't know any of them except for Ghostland. Now we're all like really because we've doing it for we've somehow managed to have a regular ongoing game for over a year now. It's fucking insane. But yes, yeah, he just starts going on about fucking Wyvern and shit. I don't know, how did we even get onto it? Did the Wyvern conversation come first, or did you come up with Wyvern and Shirley first, and then we just started talking about whether Wyverns and dragons and how they were related, and what makes a Wyvern a dragon a Wyvern?
Someone was talking about wyverns, and someone pronounced instead of wyvern or wyvern, it was wyvern, and I was like, "What wyvern? Do you mean like Wyvern and Shirley?" And
Oh,
that just killed the whole fucking
yeah, because
first half hour.
we went down, and you found that someone has actually already done that joke on Redbubble. Um, That's nice to know. I wonder how much money they've actually made from Wyvern and Shirley merch on Redbubble. We should find this pioneer and ask them if we're really bored. At which point they'll say, "Fuck off, you widows." Probably. But so now that we are past the terrible joke, and at least he was fully clothed this time doing it, as far as I'm aware. I don't have video of him. Neither do you at home. Uh, Harebuck doesn't know this, but the video setup I've got for this, as you can all see, is just the full picture is just me sitting here, looking very snazzy, if I do say so myself, in my body warmer. But yes,
You really do.
you're just saying that because you love. Oh, but
Well,
yes,
well, fine then. I won't
okay,
compliment you all the time.
okay. No, you can do. You can tell me how pretty I am. Yes, as he looks at himself
He's so
in the stream.
pretty. Oh, so pretty. He's pretty and witty and good.
But yes. So the main thing we were gonna sort of talking about was we hit upon the idea that we want to talk about sequels because sequels is a weird concept in gaming, and part of that sort of ties in. And I mean, actually, we decided this topic prior to this, obviously, but the big gaming news, at least as far as I'm concerned, this week has been Larian stating that they will not be making a Baldur's Gate 4 and they will not be making any DLC for Baldur's Gate 3. It's done. It's finished. Well, their contribution to it is finished. Modders, the floor is now yours. So, and obviously that's that's not entirely unexpected because I mean, Larian didn't particularly do DLC for Divinity, which was very much the game Baldur's Gate 3 is built on. But at the same time, obviously both Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 had fairly comprehensive DLC. I mean, certainly Baldur's Gate 2 Throne of Baal was effectively Baldur's Gate 2.5, and it wrapped up the whole Baalspawn story for the time. But yeah, because looking at it, and I went and looked at this just now. There were 22 years between Throne of Baal and the actual full release of Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 obviously was in early access to
forever.
3 years. It started in early access in 2020, I believe. But again, that was only like parts of Act 1 and not even all the classes or all the races. Or all the quests, and they changed stuff around. And I mean, I didn't do early access on it, so I don't know quite how much was changed.
I know Will's story was very dramatically reworked to make it fit in better with some of the other origins and supporting characters, depending on how you play.
Okay. Well, that's good because I liked Will's story. I actually ended up on my run through the game. I actually ended up romancing. It was very sweet, very sort of courtly. I like the fact he actually proposes to you. Oh fuck, that's.
Is it though?
I mean, it kind of is if you were doing the romance and hadn't gotten that far yet. Like, sorry if I've spoiled that.
It has been out. It has been out for a year in full,
No,
and
hasn't.
it has been early access
Came out in
for
August.
the longest time. Has it? Did it? God, that.
Yeah, it's been 6 months. It's been 6 months.
Well,
and, wow! I am so glad I do not have my desktop visible right now because it decided to throw up a OneDrive. Here's pictures you downloaded on this day at various years. That was just very sexually explicit. Okay. Sorry, I just that just made me go. Thank
sir,
fuck I didn't have desktop visible.
This is a Christian. This is a Christian stream.
Yeah, when it's not that, I don't want to have a bunch of hard dick visible on stream because I'm pretty sure that's against terms. Actually, I think soft dick is also against terms of service on this. So yeah. I mean, admittedly, I don't think I'm big enough for Twitch to care that much, but they'd care enough that they would probably ban me. Well.
Probably a good idea to behave.
But yeah, so because sequels in gaming are a weird thing because in every other media where you have sequels, movies, books, things like that, usually it's said that the sequel is not as good as the original. But whereas with games, it's often very much the other way around. It's sequels allow you to build and develop and improve on what the first installment was. And it's also still, obviously it's the financial benefit of a franchise, name recognition, that sort of thing. But there is more of an expectation of quality actually getting better rather than worse.
Yeah, like a simple little example. I back in the PlayStation 2 days, I really liked a little game called Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, and it and I liked it for more than just furry reasons, but it's a fun platformer stealth game with enough mini game side concepts to keep things interesting, and it was just a very well done game that was a lot of fun, very creative. In that, it was creative in a way that you don't see as often in this age of pushing harder and harder for bigger and bigger graphics and louder and louder explosions. And the sequel to it was even better, and it was Sly Cooper 2, and it stripped down some of the extra mechanics and concepts that weren't purely necessary from the first game, while adding others that fit in better, and it was a ton of fun. And 3 was a I only played 3 briefly because I didn't have a PS3. I believe it was on PS3. I don't remember. Um, it was a good sort of capstone to the series without, you know, being too super duper expensive over the top.
It was
And
actually
it's
on
just
PS2.
I PS2. Okay, well then I'm silly.
No,
I don't know why I don't know why I only played it briefly.
maybe it wasn't as good.
I
Apparently, it also
liked
had
2 better. I
optional
think.
3D stages and came with a pair of 3D glasses inside the manual.
God, I don't remember that. I must have rented it. It must have been some kind of thing because this is back when video rentals and video game rentals were still a thing.
Yeah,
If
Blockbusters.
if, if only barely. It was already on the way out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Blockbusters was around for a bit. God, I miss Blockbusters.
Yeah, I miss Hastings. Hastings was the shit.
I'm assuming that was another rental. That was a rental chain in the US.
They did some rentals. Hastings was sort of a collected store that had video rentals, video purchase, and random assorted stuff. It was
Huh.
Hastings was weird. Like I got my first physical copy of a game of Shadowrun at a Hastings.
Oh wow, cool. Oh, actually, that did bring up something I did see that I thought was God. I hope it'll happen. It probably never will, but was a suggestion someone made on Blue Sky, that the Ruritan picked up on the fact that ideally someone who owns the right, which I'm pretty sure is Microsoft. Microsoft actually fucking owns the game rights to Shadowrun. Was please for the love of God hire Larian to do a Shadowrun game because that would be fucking awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
the fact
that could be interesting.
yeah, because I mean the fact that Microsoft have the Shadowrun rights and they have done fuck all with them since that failed multiplayer shooter on the 360 is baffling as fuck. Like you could do some seriously cool shit with the Shadowrun IP. I mean
Well,
the Harebrained Scheme games show that,
yeah,
but that's
absolutely.
because if you've not played them, if you want a good RPG, and I'm not saying they're anything like Baldur's Gate 3, they're not. They're smaller, they're lower budget, but I would strongly, strongly recommend Shadowrun Dragonfall and Shadowrun Hong Kong. Shadowrun Returns is it's okay as a proof of concept, but it's a bit, especially compared to Dragonfall and Hong Kong have some of the fucking best writing I have seen in a role playing game outside of Baldur's Gate, really. Really, really fun. But anyway, getting back to the topic. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's funny? What's fun about the idea of like the 3 Shadowrun, the Harebrained Schemes Shadowrun games are very good. They're they're a bit more of an anthology than they are sequels. They share the same basic engine and a lot of the same mechanics.
And they're set in the same world, but they are set in different places with different characters.
Yeah, they're not sequels to each other directly.
And
Although
Ghostlin
interestingly,
has
the
just popped in
third,
the
the
chat to say something. He just said, and they're more mechanically sensible than the original games they are based on, which would be the Shadowrun game on the SNES. I played
well,
that a little
no,
bit, but I
he's
assume he means the
referring to the
tabletop game.
fact that, yeah, he's referring to the tabletop game. The tabletop games from the beginning have been, Ghost Nuki. They have, from the beginning, they have been a gloriously bad shit show of overcomplicated and absurd mechanics, to the point that fifth edition Shadowrun tabletop released with there's a class or archetype or role called rigger, which is someone who uses drones and vehicles and controls them. It released referencing mechanics for the rigger that you did not get until the rigger book released several years later.
Helpful. That's very helpful. I mean, I thought Hasbro was cack-handed, but that's and they're on a 6th edition now, aren't they? They're just
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, Shadowrun Sixth World, which is also the 6th edition, is a very serious major streamlining, but this is about sequels, not editions. I'll behave.
Okay, no, that's fine.
And
You will notice, folks at home, that we do go off on tangent. It's just just roll with us, or poke us in the chat to get back on, or encourage us to ramble. It's fine. We're just sitting around bullshitting for a few hours.
Yep. Also, hello to everyone in the chat. I see there's 5 currently. That's pretty cute. If you have any questions about,
I don't get a counter number, so I have no idea how many people are in chat. I just get
that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite typos in a game. There's literally an item in 5th edition that costs 5, not 5 new yen, just 5.
It's got 5 on it. Your 40s, let's get keyed. Because that's what you need, the whitest man in history singing about weed.
Oh, God. But what I was saying about it is while they are not necessarily sequels to each other, amusingly, they are sequels. The first one is a sort of indirect, distant sequel to the SNES game because a side character in it.
The main character?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, the main character from the SNES is a side character in. Sorry.
Yeah, that. Jake Armitage, the main character of the SNES game, shows up as a supporting character in Shadowrun Returns.
Yeah. At some point, I need to try and, after having bought a copy of the SNES cartridge, because piracy is wrong and emulation is only really acceptable as a backup for physical copies you already own. Yeah. Of that SNES game at some point. That is a classic.
Yes, absolutely.
Or at the very least, I should watch again the awesome promotional video they did for Shadowrun. A live action promotional video. Yeah, that is quite something.
This is the ideal male body. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like.
Fuck, at some point we could actually just riff on that. It exists. Oh yeah, no, it exists. I've seen it. I've seen it several times. I saw Spoony riffing on it at least once. I riffed on it with the Harebuck at least. I should do it on stream at some point, but not today. We'll do it some other time. It's something we can do when I'm over in the US.
It was fucking beautiful. I love it. And it was like, that was for the RPG. That was not for a video game. That was just for the RPG.
Yeah. I mean, they've done that shit before. I mean, my brother actually. I remember the other year, my brother found these old promotional VHSs we got with gaming magazines for video games. Like that one of those was fucking how I got excited for Final Fantasy VII, because it had a bunch of stuff from Final Fantasy VII on. I was like, oh my god, this looks so fucking cool. With the Kellogg box characters. The Magic the Gathering commercials from the 90s were wild. I mean, I've actually seen some of the newer Magic the Gathering animated commercials on Facebook. Well, not actually as adverts, but like people have reposted them to chat about them. Some fucking one involving like vampire orphanage children murdering some guy. Weird as fuck.
Better than some guy murdering vampire orphanage children?
Yeah, I mean they're vampires.
They're orphanage children.
Yeah, but they're vampires. Now, what measure is a
Okay,
non-human?
racist.
Oh, fuck you. You.
You
You're pro-vampire.
must know he has a drinking problem.
Just
Oh,
because you
yeah,
let a
like
Starian drink off you all the time.
every single night. I
Wander
kept
around
track.
woozy. Jesus. You weren't even fucking him. Like you were romancing Karlach, weren't you?
Yeah. This was totally just bromance stuff.
Did Karlach ever comment on that? I'm curious, actually.
No. It did not, which was a shame because she seems like she'd be the type. But then again, she did think that. No, never mind. I'm not going to spoil that.
That she did ask it. Well,
Uh,
but she didn't comment on Elminster and his big natties.
that's
Greatest
odd,
mod
and you know
ever.
it.
Someone just made a mod so that the Elminster, when he shows up, has just a big pair of breasts with exposed cleavage.
Yes. Elminster's big natties.
Yeah, which as someone pointed out, well, in canon he has had a woman's body at several points, so maybe he likes just having big boobies. Good for him. He's one of the most powerful mages to ever exist, and yet somehow he can't do anything about this whole Vecna is now Thanos thing that's happening.
Because God is a lie. No. Sequels. There are a lot of sequels lately.
Yes, a lot of very time delayed
Movies and
sequels.
games.
Because obviously, as I pointed out, the fact that it's been 21, it was 22 fucking years between the full release of Throne of Baal and Baldur's Gate 3. And it's one of the other big sequels of last year was 13 years between Alan Wake and Alan Wake 2. And it's not like Alan Wake was a particularly big game. It wasn't. It was, it wasn't. Well, I think it was considered to be underperformed, but it did develop a cult following over the years, but it was still not as big a thing. I mean, the fact that they then decided that it and Control were going to be in the same continuity, I mean, probably did help, because Control did fairly well. Even if it is the game with the most anticlimactic ending I have ever had. I have seen some anticlimactic endings in games. I've seen some shit endings in games, but I have never seen an ending quite as anticlimactic as Control's. Go over to here. Now, press this button to interact. Congratulations, game over. You've won. Ghostlander said, "Are we just not going to talk about the worst delayed sequel ever made? Depends on which one you're referring to."
Yeah.
Oh, Duke Nukem Forever. Fucking Duke Nukem Forever.
I don't know what you're talking about. Duke Nukem Forever was a cinematic masterpiece. Yahtzee said so himself. Especially the part where Duke Nukem, played Cookie Mama on the moon.
Especially that this is still especially funny considering the fact that at one point Yahtzee was approached to come up with a script for Duke Nukem Forever because they'd reached a point of we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Hey, ask that zero punctuation guy. Maybe he'll have notes, which he did, but they didn't use them. Even if he still has them on his site, but Yahtzee did have on his personal site, he had design concepts for several different games, as well as stuff, because obviously Yahtzee did do several indie games based around his the Chozo mythos, which is very sort of eldritch horror setting. ever read one, and he also had like some at least one fucking short story set in that mythos, which was fucking horrifying. If you ever want to read something fucking spooky, go look at that. But yeah, Duke Nukem
Yeah.
Forever was. I mean, that's a case of something. I mean, I don't think Alan Wake 2 was in development for, like, on and the way Duke Nukem Forever was, where it kept getting stalled and pushed back and then stopped and reworked entirely and yada yada yada.
But like what I've noticed is kind of there's often a cycle about complaining about things with sequels. It's you've got this tendency where people are like everything's a reboot or a sequel, everything's a reboot or a sequel these days. These days all they can do is reboots. There used to be good movies and there used to be good video games, but now everything's a sequel. And it's like this has just kind of been going on since media started.
Yeah,
um like like go back to the fucking Bible, the three synoptic gospels and the Gospel of John.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Uh,
You mean like the first four books of the New Testament, which is just the same story but retold by four different people. So
yeah, like well, like it gets even weirder than that in that um, Matthew and Luke are essentially they're not just the same story; they are essentially whole. They both contain the full text of Mark in them. Literally, they are expansions on the original. They are expansions on the exact same text, just with added commentary and elaborations. John is a little different. It kind of takes a different, more original literary approach to the topic while covering the same broad strokes. It's they're more than just sequels; they're just straight up riffs on it. But like the greater point is that there's always been the tendency to expand on a story that's already been told and to add to it or to follow up with what happened later.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and we've been seeing it in mass media from the beginning. I mean, like I'm gonna do a quick look up how many versions. Like there were two versions of Ben Hur pretty close together, like in the 20s and the 50s.
yeah,
Um, but like there were several versions of the Wizard of Oz fairly close together. There
yeah,
were
yeah.
several
Because
versions
I
of the
remember there
Ten
was one with
Commandments.
where Oliver Hardy played the Tin Man. He was either one of Laurel or Hardy played the Tin Man. The Maltese Falcon. There was the Bogart one wasn't the first version of that. I mean, if you look at even literature, Arthur Conan Doyle bringing back Sherlock Holmes because people would not stop fucking nagging him to do more Sherlock Holmes. There is there is people want, or at least they think they want. Well, people don't know what they want until they get it. Then they want more of it, but it never feels the same way again. Nostalgia is an attempt to recreate a feeling, but you can never recreate a feeling because you're never going to be in the exact time in the exact space or be the exact version of you that you were when that happened. You can't remake exactly these moments, but you'll
Which
try.
is which is part of why I think Sly Cooper, to go back to me being an idiot fanboy, was so good in that it um, it captured a lot of what made Sly Cooper, Thievius Raccoonus good mechanically, and the same fun kind of ridiculous storytelling, while it wasn't afraid to do some new things and add to it. It wasn't afraid to strip out a bunch of what had been there before and keep it moving. So it worked very well as a sequel because it wasn't just, these gamers want more of the same thing as they wanted before, and it brought in new stuff, and it doesn't hurt this like Cooper's cute as fuck.
And didn't wear any pants.
No pants. They did the Donald Duck.
Scandalous. The thing is, things also in new novels and copyright law, people could just publish sequels to established work because they could. This is true. Or they could just, famously, Nosferatu was Dracula. It literally was Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it was so blatant that Stoker's widow successfully got the film banned, and if they'd gone through with the judgment, then all copies would have been destroyed. Thankfully, someone hid some copies, so we still have the original Nosferatu, which is a remake coming out, I believe, later this year. A second remake, being directed by Robert Eggers of The Witch and The Lighthouse, the Northman fame, which should be very good. If it's anything like The Lighthouse, fucking terrifying. Well, if that's a film, I'm not going to watch it again. Excellent film. Glad that I saw it. Never going to watch it again. There are just some movies that are like that.
Gonna deliver a seaman's curse because you ate my chowder.
Bad luck to kill a seabird.
But the idea of a sequel is, just kind of, on the one hand, it makes an inherent sort of sense. You want to hear what happened next in a lot of different stories, especially if it's a story you liked. Yes, not to be confused with the Virginia Woolf novel. Very good ghost. He's pandering to me. But on the other hand, the idea of a sequel is kind of weird because, like, you hear the story of the hero who saves the day and rides off into the sunset while rich and powerful and has the charming prince on the back of his horse, and it's like, and then what happened? What the fuck do you mean? And then what happened? Was that not enough? Are you not entertained? Fuck you! I'm done. Then he sat in his really big swank fucking apartment on Fifth Avenue, right above the Saks, and was lazy and fat and boring because he has all the money in the world. What do you want?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there is the point where if you start stretching things out beyond narrative reasoning, and I mean, the thing is with games having a narrative or a detailed narrative is still, to an extent, comparatively new. But because then you get to the point where you're just being derivative of your. But then but then you end up with remakes. You're retelling the same story, but you're doing it different this time.
Or you end up strangling yourself in your mythos, like what is it? The Metal Gear series. Sorry, Solid. And the huge, just ridiculously granular and obscure bits of lore to the point where Metal Gear Solid 4 was just an essentially and who can forget this guy?
Solid says fuck you. Joke. But yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it didn't. I mean, they did sort of skip around on the timeline in a way. I mean, I kind of lost the two Metal Gear Solid games that I've mainly played is 1 and 2. 3 didn't have a radar. That upset. 4, I just never shot around to. I should play it. I have a PS3 copy and I have a PS3. And I have 5, so I do need to play that. It's more than I have. I played a bit on it on a friend's console. I entirely lost my train of thought, Dave. No. Even Larry did that with certain appearances in BG3. True, because obviously there are the callback stuff to the first two games, because you've got Hira shows up and Minsk shows up, and then obviously Saravok and Bal stuff, because it is, so long as you are doing the Dirge storyline, it does tie in to Baldur's Gate. It does tie into Baldur's Gate. Yeah, and I think it's very obvious that the Dirge is meant to be the canon NPC, and D&D Forgotten Realms continuity should treat Dirge as the canon thing, which at least means we will have a less boring canon protagonist than the first two games ended up having in Forgotten Realms official canon, where he was a human fighter and it was so thrilling, and then we just fuck. Just the fucking canon of that in the tabletop game is fucking bullshit, and we're just gonna fucking ignore it. Which you largely can, actually.
You mean you don't like Abdel? Really? He's not your favorite?
I don't even know who the fuck that is.
Abdel was the name of the fighter from the Baldur's Gate novelizations.
Ah, right, yeah. So he was the canon protagonist. He doesn't even get a good death. He lives to be 120, and then randomly one other Bal spawn that somehow survived shows up. They have a slap fight, and then whichever one doesn't die suddenly turns into a fucking Bal spawn Slayer form and starts running around, and they kill them. It's literally in a fucking adventure. But everyone just prefers to ignore that and just look at Descent into Avernus, because that's far more interesting. It really is. As I plan on running a Descent into Avernus at some point. Canonically, you.
But
the first two, yes, Ghostlin. In the first two, canonically, you are the Balspawn. But with the origins in BG3, you are. If you're not Dirge is dead. Like, you find his body later on in a place. Like if you go with the no origin, you are just random Spod who randomly gets involved in all this shit and becomes the savior of the Sword Coast. Congratulations, which is fine. But when you've got
we do love Tav.
We do love Tav. Yeah. I mean, Tav is the default name for whatever, Tav is also the Dirge's default name, technically.
I mean, you could call him Tav, but his name defaults to the Dark Urge, which is just I just love the idea. I love the idea, hello, my name is Gale. Hello, Gale. I am the Dark Urge.
I am not in any way sinister. Look at my strange little top-hatted goblin friend. Murder. I've not actually gotten to him yet. My Dirge playthrough. I haven't touched my Dirge playthrough in over a month. Really should.
As Solid says, generic Tav, my beloved.
Yeah, generic Tav. He's so great. The writer of the novel decided to choose a human fighter, the most popular and lamest. Yeah, it's just I do not. Well, no, I mean, you can make an interesting human fighter. You can make any character interesting. Depends on how you play it. But yeah, God, we've been teasing the shit out of Zen for going human. It's like, what? You mean this isn't an entirely furry fest? What? Why is there a human here?
But you did. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you've said you've never really played second edition as a tabletop game.
This is true, yes.
A tabletop second edition fighter is even more limited than a third or fourth or fifth edition tabletop fighter in so many ways. I mean, when we say all a fighter can do is attack, in a lot of cases in second edition, that's really the case. Like, there are weird edge cases you can play with the mechanics to do something interesting, but for the most part,
Yeah, maneuvers
second
and
edition
feats
fighters
were
really
not
are
a thing.
all you do is roll a d20 every so often, and then if you hit, you roll some damage, and then you're done.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of the actual roleplay aspects, though, you know, if one steps outside of the combat aspect.
Yeah, true. But I mean, but that's true for every class. You can do some role playing stuff. It's just mechanically in second edition fighters were extraordinarily boring, and that kind of attracted the people who didn't know what else to do in the game. So it wasn't the class that tended to attract the role players.
Hmm. So I sat it down and tortured him with how AD&D second edition worked. I don't think he ever thanked me. Why would he thank you? Why? Ghostlin, you monster. Oh, dear. Dear. Oh.
Yeah, second edition was a mathematical
Yeah,
shit show.
so the question, I guess, becomes, if Larian isn't doing Baldur's Gate 4, who is? Because you know Hasbro's going to want to do a Baldur's Gate 4. Just because, hello, this made a lot of money. Like, a lot of money. So they're going to want to do a follow-up. So the question is, who's going to fucking do it? Who do they get?
And when.
And when? Because I mean, Larian had actually started on DLC for 3, but then they just realized their hearts weren't in it, and they were just like going through the motions, and they were like, you know what, let's just not. Let's not. So I mean, you've got other people out there. You've got the guys who did the Pathfinder games, and who also just did Rogue Trader for the Games Workshop, which I've heard good things about.
Really? Pathfinder did that? I honestly didn't realize that.
Oh yeah, there's Pathfinder games out.
No, I know that. I'm talking about the Rogue Trader thing.
Mm. I'm pretty sure it's the same. It's the same studio as did the Pathfinder games. Let me just double check that because I don't want to be completely off my gourd. Trader, which by Owlcat.
Oh God. Electronic Arts Baldur's Gate 4. Jesus, Cosin, don't speak that shit into existence. Get your hand off. Get your hand off the lathe of reality.
Road Trader, aka 40k version of Mass Effect. Yeah, it is from the same. It's Owlcat are the same people who did Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, and did they do Kingmaker as well? Let me just double check that. Oh, Kingmaker. Was that Owlcat? Yeah, developer was Owlcat. Yes, I think it was a different publisher, but yes, the Pathfinder games. I mean, I've heard Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is quite good. There's also I forget the studio that did Pillars of Eternity. Was it Pillars of Eternity? Pillars of Eternity, yes, which is that's Obsidian. That's fucking Obsidian. I mean, if you get Obsidian to do it, fucking hell. Because,
that would be pretty awesome.
Hi, we made fucking Fallout New Vegas, one of the greatest games of all time. I kind of wish we could get the original Black Isle BioWare folks. I mean, yeah, but they are scattered to the 5 winds. I mean, a bunch of them are with Obsidian. You've also got the guy who went off and has done that survival game, sort of Victorian steampunk type one.
What's interesting about sequels is it's very much like the concept of a game. The concept of a sequel is an extremely broad fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like let's look at the Bethesda, the Bethesda Elder Scrolls and Fallout stuff. the Bethesda Elder Scrolls and Fallout games are sequels in that they're set within the same world, but they're entirely different stories. They're much more like anthologies if you look at the series as a whole.
Hmm.
Yes, the events, especially in the Elder Scrolls, the events of the later games do connect to and are influenced by those of the earlier games, but they're not direct continuations story wise thereof.
Hmm.
What the fuck does the Dragonborn have to do with the hero of Kvatch or the Nerevarine other than the events that were set into motion by them are causing an effect all these years later?
Yeah.
But it's like you're not picking up the Nerevarines quest from Morrowind in uh, Oblivion. You're not picking up the hero of Kvatch's quest in Oblivion when you play Skyrim. It's just they're people within the world, but you're not playing the same thing. The main linking element is the basic mechanics of fighter mage thief fantasy roleplay.
Yeah, mechanics are almost the bigger keys, especially because obviously the thing that games a lot of the time have that films and books don't is they do not have multiple choice. Those don't have multiple choice endings. Games do, especially role playing games. They do tend to have multiple choice endings. Not all of them, obviously. Final Fantasy games do not have choice endings. Unless they do something weird in Rebirth, which I have not played yet. For the love of God, no one spoil Rebirth for me, because if you do, I will be so fucking mad. Because I really, really
Oh God, Ghost!
want to play that.
Oh God, Ghost! You're right. You're right. Fallout New Vegas really, literally was. I'm gonna make my own Fallout with blackjack and hookers.
I mean, there were hookers in 1 and 2, and I don't know about 3. I don't recall any hookers in 3. But there were definitely hookers in the first 2. I don't think they were in tactics.
You could be one, I thought.
You could be a porn star.
All right.
Which is
okay.
Subtle difference. Subtle difference. You could hire prostitutes. You didn't get any. You didn't see any sex for obvious reasons. That would have looked
limitations.
Yeah, that would have looked a bit weird in the old isometric thing. Although, my God, we are. And spoiler for Rebirth: you play as Cloud. Fuck you. I don't know who Angel Dust you're referring to there is, but okay. But yeah, you could
Has-Been Hotel.
Right, not seen it. Yeah, you could be a porn star, or you could work as a fluffer at the porn studios in New Reno. Fun times.
Moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on. I would just point out we got some of the fucking old toxicity regarding the Fallout series has kicked up again because of the upcoming TV show. Which, interestingly, again, following on the sequel thing, that is not doing any of the plots from any of the games. It's apparently is going to be its own original plot. But obviously influenced by using the setting. But we'll see how that goes when that comes out next month. Looking forward to that. Something went over my headphones there a second.
But in the speaking of Fallout, even those were interesting because
Okay, if you're talking, I can't hear you. Oh God, fucking headphones.
Can you hear me, hon? Hello. Hello.
Nope.
Testing.
Nope, I still can't hear you. Hold on a second. Fucking things. This makes me so angry. Okay.
Hello.
No, that's still not fucking working. Damn it. Just give me a moment. This is especially hilarious for those of you at home because working. Okay, now I can hear you. He's not his. I am fine. Well, I'm fine. Thank you. I somehow I've managed to desync my wireless headphones from the laptop. That is very impressive of me. Very annoying because I like those headphones. I think that's that's. I'll deal with that later. I missed anything you said like the last minute or so, so please do feel free to just say that again. Hmm. Oh, hold on. I think guys are saying they can't hear you. What? Oh, for the love of all that is holy and good in the universe. Give me a moment. It's because I got these fucking headphones. So I have to make the other headphones work instead. Fuck. This in video output device.
It me.
Okay. Yep. Well. Okay. We got you
Can
back.
you
We got you back.
can you hear me, Ghostland? Everything?
Keep talking. This break is
um,
sponsored by water.
okay, solid Ghost. Can you hear me? Say something in the chat.
Yay, we're
Okay,
back.
good.
Anywho.
Anyway, for the third time, Fallout. Fallout 2 was a direct sequel to Fallout 1, slightly distant sequel, but you're following in the story set by very good Ghost, thank you. Set by the first game, it followed in that story, whereas 3 and New Vegas kind of almost did, well, sort of like New Vegas did not follow from 3. 3 was its own independent story. 4 was its own independent story. They kind of slightly referenced some events by the others, but did not follow firmly on for them. They were not, the world of the later games was not shaped much by the world of the prior games, except for we live in the post-apocalypse that the background set up. Whereas New Vegas was still a direct sequel to the very first Fallout game because the very concept of the NCR started in that game and has been sort of the overriding plot arc of the Southwest United States Fallouts.
Plus, not to
And
mention the fact that a lot of the stuff they get, that New Vegas used was stuff that was planned for the original Fallout 3, the interplays of
Van
a
Buren.
finished Van Buren project. Yeah.
Yes, and it's like it shows you what the different things that can be considered a sequel are in just like there are so many different games that are just radical departures from each other that can be considered sequels. In that Fallout New Vegas is a sequel to the plot and plot themes of the first two Fallout games, but is a sequel to the mechanics of Fallout 3, whereas Fallout 3 is kind of none of them. It's its own thing, yet somehow it's a sequel to Fallout 1 and 2, despite having very little to do with them mechanically or story wise, apart from the broadest background elements. It's just kind of weird.
Also, fuck ZeniMax and Bethesda for shafting Prey 2. Yeah, that is kind of fair because the whole weird thing of remakes, reboots that are virtually nothing to do with what they're rebooting. Because I'm currently playing Prey, the newer Prey, and great game, fun game. Fuck all to do with the first Prey game, which was this thing where you were a Native American guy and like entire town, like everyone get fucking grabbed by aliens. And there was the Prey 2, which direct sequel, which was planned with you playing that same character, and you're now stuck living in outer space and you're working as a bounty hunter.
And none of which have anything to do with Prey, the very excellent
Exactly.
2022 Hulu entry into Predator, which
Well, except for the involvement of
holy
Native
shit.
Americans. Oh, it was. I
Yeah.
thought Prey 2 was going to have the same lead character as Prey 1, but yeah, Prey was very good. Fucking love that film. Oh, you were meant to meet the original character again. They were going to be a side character in it. Okay, well that's interesting. I like sort of read like I think I read like a preview back in like PC Gamer back when I still read PC Gamer, which was a long time ago because that's when they still had demo discs. God, that's going old school now. You remember demo discs? Those were a thing.
Oh man, sweetie, I remember shareware discs.
I never had any shareware discs. I remember I was of the era of them because I started gaming back on like the Amiga 500.
My original copy of Doom was a shareware copy.
Not to be confused with Prey with an A, which is what they told me to do when I was a Catholic. Thank you, Ghostlin. That was a good one.
Oh, we'd love to see it. But what's interesting, like a lot of people in movies right now are complaining about sequel and reboot glut, and it's like this has been going on since the beginning. Like we
Yeah.
mentioned with the Ben Hurs and stuff. Now, admittedly, there was a bit of a gap between some of those movies, but like you've had derivative remakes and rehashes and people's own interpretations of things being made from the very beginning and getting churned out. But what's interesting is there does seem to be a little bit of an inverse in the way video games have done it and the way movies have done it, because there was a big gap between the two Ben Hurs. There was a big gap between the early takes of the Ten Commandments and some of the movies. There was a relatively substantial gap between Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai and the Magnificent Seven as a remake sort of style sequel. Um, but it's been getting more and more compressed lately. I mean, primarily because of the MCU. You've been
Well,
getting
primarily
sequel
because of
after sequel
Sony
after sequel after
desperately
sequel after sequel.
trying to make Spider-Man into something that can stand alongside the MCU. Uh,
I think they're doing pretty well with that idea.
yeah, well, the just what happened with Madame Web did not necessarily suggest that it did,
True that's true.
and
Um,
Morbius with his morbing everywhere.
I love that they reference that in Midnight Suns. But whereas
Yeah.
by comparison, gaming sequels were a thing almost from the word go,
Yeah.
and they got churned out pretty darn quickly. I mean, Doom 2 did not take that long after Doom. Spear of Destiny as a prequel did not take that long after Wolf 3D, Wolfenstein 3D, and you had these uh, churn out sequels of varying quality, some excellent, some not great. But it very rarely took that long for a sequel to be made. Whereas,
Hmm.
like, what was it? Fallout came out, and it was Fallout 3 came out, and had an achievement called "The Bigger They Are," where you kill every super mutant behemoth in the game.
Hmm.
And then Fallout 4 comes out, and it had an achievement called "The Harder They Fall," where you kill every super mutant behemoth in the game. And it there's a comment on TV Tropes that Bethesda waited 7 years to make this joke, and I was like, 7 years? Surely it was longer than that, but it really, really didn't take them that long, and that's with another game in between the two, New Vegas.
Well,
Whereas
New Vegas was
right
made by
now we're
Obsidian, who were a different studio.
yeah,
Because
but
this is
it's still that just still illustrates my point that you had Fallout 3 and all its DLC, you had Fallout New Vegas and all its DLC, and you had Fallout 4 with only a 7 year gap between them, which was considered long at the time. But now we're looking at it, and it's been almost that long since Fallout 4 already, and
yeah.
it's been um,
Well, I mean, they have Fallout
even longer since
76, which is they are focused on. They seem to be dragging something out of that. It apparently has gotten decent. Uh,
Yeah, I'm not factoring MMOs into this because they're so weird.
hmm.
But you are right that they did put their time and effort into that by and the Elder Scrolls Online. Um, but like it's been already over 13 years since Skyrim came out, and almost 13 years since Skyrim came out, and uh, the next Elder Scrolls game is not happening before 2026.
Yeah, no, it's because. But again, there they point out, well, we were focusing a lot on Elder Scrolls Online, and I know, okay, the MMOs are sort of a different thing, but at the same time, they're not, because in terms of they're, I guess, using the intellectual property, would be their argument, even though they're a thing that not everyone wants, but I mean they are still part of the same. I mean, to throw in the MCU thing, it's like the Disney Plus series is, as opposed to the films. They're technically all the same continuity, but they're not the same thing. And the quality is
Yeah.
maybe not always as good because, again, I just want to point out, fuck me, Secret Invasion. What the fuck? That was so bad. Ow.
um,
Why would you make Elder Scrolls
but
6
my,
when you
my
can just release Skyrim again? I mean, I think they've run out of consoles that don't have Skyrim at this point. Like, I'm struggling to think of what active formats don't have it. Um, I can't
And
think of a
Nokia
fucking thing
Engage.
that does have it. So did you say the Nokia N-Gage?
Yes.
No, I'm sure at this point there's been a Nokia N-Gage version of it. Like Doom being run on someone's graphic calculator.
Oh man. But the the larger concept is there have been the gaps between sequels have been getting greater. I mean, if you want a less tainted version than the Bethesda one, because okay, they were working on stuff, but
Mm.
I still contend that there is a huge gap between mainline entries, and the gap has been widening as time goes on.
Yeah.
But let's move away from
Well,
that
that's
then and go to
AAA
a
game development, and also yeah. That's AAA game development for you. The how long these things take. Um,
right. But like again, back to the Baldur's Gate thing. It was like we had Baldur's Gate come out. Like, what's the timeline here?
let me just double check because I think it was 97, 98. Because I was looking at it before we started because I just wanted to get the gap between 2 and 3 accurate. 98, end of 98 was Baldur's Gate. So that was like apparently it came out 21st of December 1998. Then Baldur's Gate 2. So scroll down this Wikipedia article to find a link.
All right, Baldur's Gate hit in December '98. Tales of the Sword Coast, which was the expansion pack. That's what we used to call them, kids. They used to be called expansion packs, not DLCs.
hmm,
Um, Came out in '99,
because you weren't downloading
very
shit.
shortly after. Um, Baldur's Gate 2 hit in 2000, in September of 2000, so almost exactly 2 years
Right.
after the original drop of Baldur's Gate. Throne of Ball hit in June of 2001. December of 2001 saw Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. January of 2004 was Dark Alliance 2. Um, then we had the enhanced editions, which are not sequels; they're just re-releases. Siege of Dragonspear was kind of an interquel between Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, and the Dark Alliance, Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, I guess fits into the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance thing, but is just kind of its own thing. Baldur's Gate
Yeah.
3, 2023, which even if you're looking at Siege of Dragonspear as a full release, which it really kind of wasn't, it was just an expansion for Baldur's Gate.
Hmm.
Um, 2016 to 2023, nearly 10 years there, whereas the largest gap prior to that was 3 years if you're looking at actual. Well, like this looks 2016 for Siege of Dragonspear and 2001 for Dark Alliance. So you could argue 15 years, but like you had the enhanced editions, you had the Icewind Dales in between that, and
Hmm.
then
Also,
but like
apparently there was a cancelled Black Isle planned Baldur's Gate 3 called Baldur's Gate 3 The Black Hound, which was announced in 2002 and was going to use 3rd edition, but was cancelled in 2003 when Interplay lost the rights to Dungeons and Dragons, which was the point at which they then moved on to Project Van Buren, only to then Interplay to just collapse in upon itself. Black Isle Studios would develop a further spin-off
yeah, and try
series before being shut down by
and
Interplay.
try to crowdfund scam their fans. Fucking
Yeah,
assholes.
yeah, fucking Interplay was shit. And of course, the rights were tangled up for a long time in that, and then that was eventually, they got the hang of that. Fun
but
fact about.
like but like even that timeline ignores the fact that Icewind Dale and Icewind Dale 2
Hmm,
came out in between the Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 and Dark Alliance releases. They were releasing beat for beat every couple of years a new full on game plus expansion
yeah.
material
I mean, I guess the
for a
theory
solid decade.
at that point, because it was using the same engine, there was a lot less work to it. So you could have sort of multiple teams working on multiple projects. So you could, because, well, okay, you need you need the writers and the art assets. A lot of the programming shit is already done for you. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And you just have to tweak it to add the new
yeah.
stuff. But even so, it's still it's still indicative that, Sly Cooper 2, didn't use the, exact same engine material, and it did have different gameplay with different assets and a slightly different visual style um, from one, and it didn't come out that long after Sly Cooper 1. And the Doom games, yeah, those are exactly the same game, fine, but
Well, the first two, but then you
you
got. Well, but even like the console
and
ports
let's
of those were in actual fact, like the N64 versions were different games. Like to the point where they sell Doom 64 separately because it's a different game.
yeah, it's a very different fucking thing. Um, but like the game sequels were coming out a lot closer together in the past,
Hmm.
and now there are much longer lags between mainline releases a lot of the time. It's not always true. We've been getting a Call of Duty churned out at us every year or every other year
Yeah.
for ever.
Yeah. I mean, and sports franchise games. Basically, you're generally the major ones of those. Every year you were getting a new Madden, a new MLB, a new NBA. I mean, and it takes a major thing. Like there was the
FIFA.
FIFA, yeah, but now it's now just EA Soccer because they don't have the rights anymore. And it takes a major thing for them not to do something like that because I mean there was the whole hoo-ha a few years back where I believe it was WWE 2K20 was so fucking bad and broken that due to popular outcry they didn't do a 2K21. They actually waited a year and then did 2K22, which didn't suck so much because yeah. So I mean, with the Call of Duties, they swapped studios around, and there were some singles because they had like they had original Modern Warfare trilogy. Now they've had a rebooted Modern Warfare trilogy, and I don't know whether like Advanced Warfare and all these other ones actually took place in the same continuity as Modern Warfare or Black Ops. I know Black Ops technically take place
No,
in the same continuity as World at War because Gary Oldman plays the Russian guy in both of them.
my name is Victor Reznov, and I will have my revenge.
Okay, Gary, calm down. Right, if you want time on quality, your game
Uh,
sucks less. Time on quality, your game sucks less. Yes, it does. Or even things like Football Manager. There is a new Football Manager game every year, but even then, that there's only so much engine improvement on that. Although they keep throwing in added complexity and all sorts of bizarre shit. Does this player know the local language? Will he settle in comfortably? Does he have a family? This sort of shit. And it's just like, okay, this is kind of in depth. I have not played a Football Manager game in fucking. I have I think Football Manager 2023 was free on Epic Games. Maybe I should play that at some point. I don't think it'd make a very interesting stream though.
I'm looking at numbers.
Oh, yes.
But
Someone gets a maths boner.
it
No,
but
I'm doing a Paul Bearer impression.
Alan Wake is an even cleaner example. You said like what, 10 plus years?
13, because the Alan Wake 1 came out in 2010. There was a it wasn't DLC. It was I guess it was sort of a sequel. It sort of wasn't called Alan Wake American Nightmare, I think it was called. Let me check on that. But that didn't come out that long after, because there was also a while where the games literally were not available. Might have been for the dreaded music rights issues. Um, uh, yeah. There were also apparently 2 specials that followed on from the end of that. The soundtrack. Yeah, several licensed songs. Expiration on music licenses meant they were pulled from various storefronts in May 2017, and then did not return until October 2018, when, with the help of Microsoft, Remedy resecured the licensing rights. Fun fact: that's also why Alpha Protocol is now back on storefronts. You can now buy Alpha Protocol again. It's a bit janky, but it's kind of fun. Alan Wake now with Alan Wake.
But the
Sorry, I'm rambling.
no, it's fine. The main idea is that, kind of prompted me to talk about all this is that, yes, in a lot of cases, sequel churn is real, and it kind of happens. Look no further than the Call of Duty stuff. But the other is just as true. We have seen huge gaps in development. How long was it between fucking Doom 3 and the 2014 Doom? Something like 10 fucking years. And it's like, you've got gaps, you've got sequel churn, you often have both going on at the same time among different developers. It's been true since the beginning of mass media, and it just feels like people are kind of wanting to complain about something, and they're going to just ignore the fact that it's like there's not really a fucking pattern here.
Yeah,
there,
there
there
was
there's no pattern.
no, there isn't really so much of a pattern. Just to let you know, there was 12 years between Doom 3 and Doom, the 2016 Doom reboot. But there was a remaster version of Doom 3 that came out in 2012. Doom 3 BFG edition. Or is it sometimes also referred
Oh
to
well.
the you can tape your torch to your shotgun this time.
Oh well, butter my butt and call me a biscuit.
Ooh, biscuit. Alan Wake typing simulator. Well, if Typing of the Dead can get made, I'm sure that can get made too.
um, but it's what's so it's like I don't necessarily. I mean, I feel like, for some of my favorite games, there is more of a gap going, but it's like, but what causes that perception
I'm sorry.
is that what.
I'm sorry, Solid is being terrible. And then Alan Wake wrote about him having sex with your mum. You leave my mum out of this. My mum is a saint.
Oh, I've got a picture to send you.
He does this, folks. He sends me pictures. They're usually quite nice.
Yeah, dude, do not let it pop up on stream.
It's not going to pop up on
allowed.
stream. Like, literally, they are just seeing my beautiful fucking face.
Oh, there you go.
For my mom. Okay. Nice. Nice.
What? Wait, no.
But anyway.
But like, this is caused by my perception of things. I don't play MMOs because I don't have good internet, and I don't have tons of time to sink into an MMO. I've got other things I want to be doing with people, and so that I can't really discount Fallout 76 that much, because it is a full fucking game project. It's huge.
Yeah, and they are
But
adding stuff
since it's
constantly to it.
since it's not Fallout 5, or since it's not Elder Scrolls 6, it's just like I feel like there's been a huge amount of time between games in this IP, and it's like, well, no.
Yeah. I mean, that in some ways that's
Um,
better than the shit we get, like for example, with the response to to Modern Warfare 3 that came out like tail end of last year, where it was they clearly did not give a shit about the single player part. They threw it together sloppily at the lot, and it was just like they tossed it as an excuse so they could then charge $70 for just updates to the multiplayer, as opposed to just
mhm.
updates for the multiplayer, which they could charge as DLC for like $20. Uh, yeah. I mean, yeah, 76. I mean, it's probably one of those ones. Oops, no NPC. Yeah, I mean, I think I get the impression Fallout 76 is probably one of those MMOs you can mostly play by yourself if you want to. At least that's the impression I get. I'm a sad little lonely
um,
nobody. Um,
yeah, but it like my greater point is that it's like this is I am letting my desires and my context interpret the facts more than they should. Because I mean, I
hmm,
still feel like major games are taking longer and longer to have sequels, and in a sense, that's true because yes, Elder Scrolls Online can exist, and it has good lore and good support and really great storytelling, and I absolutely would with Chimera, but the the um the fact is it isn't a mainline Elder Scrolls game, and I want Elder Scrolls 6 because I want to play Dread Pirate Maisha sailing the 70 seas with her tits out.
fair enough. I mean, I do. I get that feeling with some stuff too, but at the same time, it's like there's so fucking many games I want to play anyway that I either haven't bought yet or have bought but have not had the time to play yet. It's like I have God of War Ragnarok that I've not fucking played. Like, and I loved the God of War, the previous PS4 God of War. You know, so I get and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now I'm not paying 70 fucking quid, so I'll wait. But I do want to play it. I've not even played the DLC yet with Yuffie in it, which I picked up. Game development has gotten longer, but there's so much stuff out there, and there's always the smaller independent titles that come along and are just fantastic. Like again, I will take an opportunity to say Vampire Survivors is fucking awesome. And that game literally costs like £3. And like $1.50 for the DLCs, and they're adding free uploads constantly, and it is I spent fucking hours on that. Like I have spent, I'm
Right,
gonna.
and it's not a sequel. It's a straight up game. It
Yeah,
is a new, interesting, creative, clever IP that is its own thing.
yeah,
And is it the glorious dress up doll slash dating simulator that is Baldur's Gate 3? No. Is it still really fucking good? Yes.
yeah,
And this obsession with sequels ties into what you were saying earlier, where I heard a really good definition of nostalgia on a podcast I listened to. Nostalgia is inventing a past that never was to feel good when you feel bad right now. Whereas hauntology is mourning a future that never came to be. Um, so like Van Buren is an example of a hauntological thing because we look at the remnants of Van Buren and we're like, oh, but that could have been so cool.
yeah,
And we look back and we're like, Baldur's Gate was amazing for me at the time, and I had such a good time playing it because it was one of the first really. There had been D&D computer games before it, um, Pools of Radiance and the Menzoberranzan and all these things, and they were awful. They were dog shit. The interface was horse shit and terrible and stuff. So, I was happy and I loved Baldur's Gate. It was so much fun. I went back and played it recently. I played both of the original Baldur's Gate games in the lead up to the final release of Baldur's Gate 3, because I wanted to get it, and they were dog shit. The story is still great and stuff, but like, ooh, these romances are kind of crap. Oh God, this
No.
combat is awful. Real time with pause. Why the fuck are you making me do this? Just make it turn based. That's how D&D works, you assholes.
Well, I think because at that point in time there was very much a stigma, increasing stigma against turn-based. It was considered old-fashioned because obviously, you had the shift Final Fantasy VII bringing in active turn battle with the sort of filling up bars, uh,
Mm, mm.
sort of stuff, and
But
because when I first played Baldur's Gate, I was put off by the pause with real time because I was coming to it from as it's a Dungeons and Dragons game from the guys who made Fallout, so I thought it was going to play exactly like Fallout, which it doesn't
at all.
at all. They're mechanically completely different games, but I grew to quite like pause with turn based. Now I have not played them in a while, so I might go back to them and find their shit. I hope not. They probably wouldn't be as fun as they were, but I'd like to think I would still get enjoyment from them from the case of, well, this is reminding me of, because good, like age. A lot of games don't age well, but some games don't. They stand the test of time. It's like I actually played Super Metroid all the way through for the first time in 2022. Fucking excellent game. Still holds up. Absolutely still holds up. Um Against modern Metroidvanias. I mean, yes, Metroid Dread I think is an overall better game, but and shit like Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is still one of the best platform games anyone's ever made. It just is.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of this is about, the nostalgia of, I loved playing the first one. Surely I would love playing more of it. But like Yahtzee said in his XCOM 2 review, he was like, I thought I would like more XCOM because I quite liked XCOM Enemy Unknown. But it turns out that sometimes when you have more of a good thing, you just end up feeling full and bloated. And he's like, I'm not really enjoying it, especially when the additions they've made, like the timers and the timers in every mission, a big overworld timer, just make me feel stressed and annoyed, and the fiddliness of the mechanics in a larger game, because the original XCOM Enemy Unknown, not the original XCOM, but the XCOM Enemy Unknown was a fairly tight overall experience. It's just long enough. It's just interesting enough. And even with the enemy within expansion, it's a fairly tight, well told experience. XCOM 2 is just very bloated, and he did not have as much fun with it. I love XCOM 2 personally, but I can understand how someone might, because there are a number of XCOM 2 playthroughs where I'm like, I'm tired of this right now, and
Yeah.
haven't finished. I have beaten the game. I did finish it, both standard and War of the Chosen, but I can understand how you can get tired of it
Hmm.
because it is a very bloated sort of game that kind of suffers from drag in the middle. And how much is nostalgia for the original XCOM going to carry me through that? Well, judging by the number of aborted playthroughs, not as far as I thought it would. So it's again the personal frame of reference of, I feel like I want more, but like you said earlier, sometimes the fans don't fucking know what they want.
No. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. Um, you know. I mean, would I have? I mean, it's
But
like
again,
go ahead.
again, it's fine. It's fine. Again, to reference Yahtzee, like, and to reference the idea of the different sort of things that can be considered a sequel. You had him. His opening of XCOM Enemy Unknown was him saying, was him slagging off XCOM the Bureau Declassified, where he was like, the original XComs were a strategy game, were a tactical and strategic game of combat against aliens. It wasn't this stupid conspiracy theory first person shooter bullshit set in the 50s. What the hell are you on about? Oh, we're sorry. Would you like this really cool streamlined tactical shooter about fighting aliens? Yes, I would. God damn it.
There's more Alien Dark Descent. Well, I mean, Alien Dark Descent did do quite well.
Oh God. What was the oh God damn it to, Solid? Oh, to the not hitting at 95%.
Yeah, probably. Admittedly, I have pulled off
Uh,
some very dicey 40% shots. And
yeah,
there was one time I insta killed the one of the giant fucking robots. It was fun.
Sectopod.
Yeah. Specifically at the end of the if you get the if you use the story mission to introduce the sparks, the one that what's his face transfers into. Yeah,
Julian and the tower.
Yeah, I hit it, and one of the fucking thing that gives you a 5% chance to insta kill. It triggered
Repeater.
the repeater. Yeah, it insta killed him on his very first shot against him. It was fucking fun.
I think you did that while you were here.
I think you saw it. Yeah,
we just were both howling with laughter, like, and you're like, I don't know what you were talking about, hon. This fight wasn't hard at all.
Well, no, because it wasn't the first time I'd done the fight. Because I know I'd done it before. So
no, I know that, but you were just riffing on how much I had complained about it.
Yeah, this is fair. Ooh,
No, it's not fair, you dick.
Yeah. Want my dick? I can't show you my dick.
But it's people build up this idea of what a sequel means in their mind, or what a game means in their mind, and but it's like you put fucking 3 people in an elevator, and by the end of the ride you have 4 fucking interpretations of the game somehow.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's the case with every media to an extent.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Solid.
Yeah, nothing is as powerful as
Sniper with Archangel armor, high ground, and the kill streak one where if as long as you've killed an enemy, you can keep shooting. That makes.
Oh God, yeah.
That I have watched, just entire pods, entire maps get cleared by a sniper in Enemy Within.
It is,
doing that trick.
I am become Death Destroyer of Worlds moment.
Hunt you down without mercy. But yeah, it's these various sequels and ideas all kind of come together, but it's like they're not the same thing. You've got sequels to each other to games like what, apart from the core concept of it's a D&D game where you play a party of colorful characters in the Sword Coast and the city of Baldur's Gate. What really does Baldur's Gate 3 have to do with Baldur's Gate 2? Like it's the same basic kind of game, but it's no longer real time with it's no longer real time with pause. It's the ball spawn story is kind of take it or leave it. It is not strictly essential to the telling of the story in the way it was in the first two games. It's primarily turn based instead of real time with pause. It is well over 100 years later. It's just
In
like
storyline, not in the real world.
right.
Sorry,
The sequel delay
I wanted to be
wasn't
a
quite
dick.
that long.
Yeah, I just wanted to be an asshole.
Oh, it's a good joke though.
Oh, sorry.
But stop apologizing, or I'll make you.
Oh my.
It's a very different game. It's got a completely different engine.
The camera
It's
isn't fixed.
camera isn't fixed. It's fully voice acted instead of partially voice acted. It's much more detailed and beautiful. There are dicks with jiggle physics. It's a
Fully
very
voice
different
acted,
sort of.
but not the penises, admittedly.
But you can see the DNA of the original games in
Yeah.
it, and that's fine. Where Doom 3, when you compare Doom 3 to Doom 1 and 2, it's just like this is literally just the basic concept before. You have a gun on Mars and are fighting aliens. That's about all they have in alien demons. That's about all they have in common. Because it's like the Doom games were fast paced and frenetic. Doom 3 was not.
But
Doom
they
3
were
was a
still
survival horror.
both first person perspective shooters.
Yeah, but it's like
Mechanically they were a lot more similar than Baldur's Gate 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 are. I mean, yeah, there's a slower pace, but it's still, at its core, it is a first person shooter. I'd argue against it being considered a survival horror, in all honesty, because it doesn't really have those sort of immersive sim elements that you get in games like System Shock 2 or Prey. That make them equivalents to survival horror, and even then, they're more so what's called immersive sim than survival horror. But I mean, I don't know. I'm splitting hairs a lot there, I guess, but I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Why would you do that, Ghostland?
Penis voice physics.
What the fuck?
He wants to watch the bard play Willy Banjo. Or maybe he just wants to play with the bard's skin flute. Nice blow. God gave him free will.
That broke my brain a little bit.
That was yeah.
What was I on about? But there's always going to be some of the DNA of the original games in a sequel, just because of the nature of why sequels are made. It's to give people more of what they want. But it's like you can have varying levels of quality of how that works. Like a common refrain I'll hear is, "Oh, sequel is a great game, but it's a bad sequel. It's bad as a original title game." Kind of stuff where I've weirdly enough, I heard one person who argued that about Fallout New Vegas, and I wish I'd taken a picture so that I could hold such a rare creature up in a museum.
I mean, you guys again, but a lot of the toxicity of the Fallout that I mentioned earlier with the Fallout thing is like people going, "Oh, well, the Bethesda Fallouts aren't proper Fallout games." Because as far as those people are concerned, only an isometric turn-based role-playing game would be a proper sequel to Fallout. Because that, as far as I'm concerned, is what the series is and should be. Now, I don't agree with that. And I say that as someone who was a fan of the first two games before Bethesda Fallout was a twinkle in anyone's fucking eye. Like, I was as shocked as anyone when we finally get a Fallout 3 and it's a first-person game from Bethesda? And I really fucking liked it. And I fucking loved New Vegas. And 4, I honestly don't know how to. Again, I've said this multiple times, but I still hold up. I put 70 plus hours into Fallout 4, and I couldn't tell you if I enjoyed it. I honestly, hand on heart, don't know if I enjoyed it. But I put 70 fucking hours into it, so obviously something was compelling me to keep going. I don't know what, but something was.
Fallout 4: The Search for the Fun.
Yeah, and it's not like I didn't enjoy bits of it. But yeah, it's just I don't have that overwhelming fond memory of it that I have of New Vegas or 3 or even. The only true Fallout game is Fallout Tactics. I need to play Fallout Tactics. I'm pretty sure I have it. I think I have it on GOG. Yeah.
No, Fallout Brotherhood. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel will
I don't think you can get
live
Brotherhood
on
of Steel
forever.
from anywhere. Legally. Remember, kids, emulation isn't a crime if you can't buy something. Just saying. Actually, it is, but.
Yeah, it really is. In parody in Minecraft, IRS.
Well,
But
that argument you
like
could level against Baldur's Gate 3 is not Baldur's Gate 2. Well, I think that's really what we were just saying. It
yeah,
isn't. But people
yeah,
liked it because it was
it's
good. Whereas some people do not feel that the Fallouts were good. And it's like Fallout 7. Not Fallout 7, fucking Christ. Resident Evil 7 being the switch from the increasingly actionized third person to, okay, we're making it first person now, and really stripping it back to more of a survival horror thing of you are fucking outnumbered and you are fucking outgunned. And
until you were Joe.
Until you were fucking Joe, who went to Nam as a toddler and came back with the ability to punch everybody to death because he was Joe. Zoe, he was going to
I'm gonna
protect
beat
Zoe.
the shit out of this gator.
Yeah, fuck you, Gator. Fuck you, motherfucking son of a. Yeah, seriously, I need to make sure I've got that one public on my. If you want to watch, if you only watch one of my streams, watch me play Resident Evil 7 End of Zoe DLC. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And watch and listen to me desperately go, please don't say that.
Yes, because I kept saying boy, and it was like, please stop saying boy in the southern accent. It was like, oh shit, yeah, no, as a white man, I should not be saying that. Fuck. Oh,
I mean,
sorry.
it is kind of a natural cadence to say it in that accent. It
Yeah.
almost slips right the fuck out.
And there's
But
no,
you really
no
should.
indication he was a racist in this game. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say the N word to anyone.
Right.
Oh,
So yeah, that was weird and fun. But like it's apart from the engine and the setting, it has very little to do with the previous
yeah. I
parts
mean,
of
it's
Resident Evil.
and
It's just you're some
an unrecognizable
fucking
Chris Redfield
swamp
shows up.
creature beating the shit out of people.
Yeah, I'm saving Zoe. I'm gonna save Zoe.
Ugh.
Zoe. Punch, punch, punch. He should have showed up in Resident Evil 8. That would have been amazing. Actually, could he be the lead in Resident Evil 9? Please. I want that. I want him to be the lead in Resident Evil 9. It's just him and Chris and fucking Ethan's daughter running around. And like he's punching everything.
Yeah, they're on the quest to rescue Leon's hairdo.
Leon's hair, yes. Yes. I need to play the Resident Evil 4 remake. That looks really good. Resident Evil 9, I guess we're doing this. Well, I mean, considering that they have now done, just Resident Evil, when does it end? You've got so many of the games have been remade. So many games outside of the numbered ones. You've also got, Code Veronica, Zero, the fucking Light Gun games, the Revelation games. You've got the original run of films, the stupid Welcome to Raccoon City film, which was just fucking terrible. You've got the CGI movies. You've got the Netflix series that is mainly only remembered for that one fucking line about Zootopia /fic. And just the fact that Lance Reddick, may he rest in peace, looked fucking stupid dressed as Wesker. Well, I mean, in Raccoon City, they did give it a raccoon mascot bobblehead that you could shoot in 7. 7? 8. It was in one of them. There was a raccoon bobblehead. I think it was... no, it was the Resident Evil 2 remake. That was it.
Mm.
Yeah, sorry, I just got sidetracked there by the sheer amount of Resident Evil things that exist. There's a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, again, you look at it.
Mm.
Resident Evil is a serious example of what I'm saying about what can be considered a sequel, because
Mm.
one, two, and three, and the various side games of them, like Code Veronica,
Mm.
um,
Zero.
we're all what I call, full sequels, in that
Mm.
they're the same basic engine and gameplay mechanics, and they are direct story continuations of each other.
Mm.
They're not just in the same world. Whereas, what the fuck does Resident Evil 4 have to do with the earlier games, apart from having Leon S. Kennedy? It's like all of a sudden he's in the Secret Service and a badass, and
And there's
not a
Los
rookie
Plagas,
cop, and
and he's doing terrible
yeah.
one-liners like "Where did everybody go? Bingo?" or "Your right hand comes off," or "You are small time," which I guess
Yeah,
was a
and
midget joke. I don't know. Uh, yeah,
probably.
probably. And then, of course, that led to Resident Evil 5, the racistest thing, and Resident Evil 6, man sucking off giraffe logo. Oh, thanks, bro.
um the but like the mechanics switch to 4 was
Mm.
incredibly sharp,
Mm.
and possibly for the better in terms of smooth gameplay experience.
Yeah.
um 5 had some problems in the mechanics department, like
Oh,
the
the mechanics,
inventory
yeah.
management system
Between
was
two.
weird.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a continuation, but mostly a continuation of 4 in terms of actionized
Mm.
sequel, and 6 just kept ramping that up to the point where you're Jake Wesker fist fighting a dump truck cancer drill press monster. I'm not entirely sure what Ustanak was, and then all of a sudden we're back to 7 and 8, which, yes, they're a return to form of the survival horror side of the genre and less
Mm.
intensity on the action,
Oh, yeah, although
but the
8
switch to
definitely ramps it up compared to 7. 8 is a lot more action.
yeah,
7 was.
yeah, but then even just sticking with 7, Biohazard, even its survival horror is a different experience than the original Resident Evil game survival horror.
Mm.
It's a very you're in an you're in an extremely confined space, again, and a singular location with a lot of survival horror elements. But it's like, even then, the fact that it's in first person and or VR, depending on how you do it, changes it very drastically from what the
Mm.
experience was in Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, you feel a lot more fucking vulnerable in 7. Legal Wesker is a playable. Yeah, Wesker is a playable character in Dead by Daylight, but then so is Nicolas Cage. So, is this?
The true horror movie monster, Nicolas Cage's O face
Well, no, he
when he
played.
grabs the nun's ass in Face Off.
Well, technically, Nicolas Cage is one of the survivor characters rather than one of the monster characters. But yeah, Wesker's, and isn't
I'm I'm
also, is it fucking
I'm going
Mr.
to
X or is it
disregard this in
Nemesis?
favor of my joke.
Okay, fair enough. If that's fair enough, you can do that if you want. It's fine. Nicolas Cage is crazy though.
I'm allowed to be wrong.
Yeah, it's fine. You're allowed. You're allowed to be. You're allowed to be. No, Nicolas Cage would approve. That was my Nicolas Cage impression. I know it was probably terrible.
Sounded like Nicolas Cage by way of a bad Kennedy impression.
I am not Nicolas Cage. By the way, did you think it was cool in Prey that I was not assassinated, leading to an alternate timeline where there was no Cold War? No, seriously, I think that's
Oh,
fucking
God.
cool as fuck. That's a really interesting touch.
But anyway,
I don't know.
what have we learned from all this horrible sequelitis?
Nothing. We've learned nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe Larian's approach here is the best. It's like,
Hmm.
yes, we made a sequel. It was very good, and yes, we made so much fucking money with it that anything we wanted to do, we would have had the money and time to do.
Hmm.
But we want to go do a new thing. We want to go
Yeah.
do a new idea. And we're going to
Yeah.
do that. So we're just stepping away while we can. Maybe that is honestly the best approach. It's like, look, it was good enough.
Yeah. Get it in, get done, get out before you're fucking the thing up. I mean, and it's the game is still there, and we'll have mods, and I'm sure people will make like mod campaigns and shit. I mean, you've got you like someone's just done a whole new practically a whole new game uh thing for fucking Dark Souls 3, and or like or this Fallout London that's coming, which Baldur's Gate 3 linked because they've actually hired Neil Newbon to be in it. And Baldur's Gate 3 has fucking launched these guys' voice acting careers, which I want everyone from Baldur's Gate 3 to have shit tons of acting work because they're fucking awesome and I fucking love them.
Indeed. And like and it's not like we're not going to have other cool games. I'm really
Yeah.
kind of stoked for this as near as I can tell, like I'll sum it up as Valheim survival ish Dungeons and Dragons thing that was just announced.
I I don't know about that one. I know there's one from the people who do that fucking Disney that Disney game. Are now gonna do a D&D
Well, like
one.
there's a survival and world and community building Dungeons and Dragons game that was just
Oh,
announced
okay.
that is going to be coming out, where you kind of explore the world and build stuff
Hmm.
and survive in the Sword Coast area. And I'm like, that kind of has my attention.
Hmm.
And I would like to hear more. Please add me to your newsletter.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's fair. That's good. And, if we do get a Baldur's Gate 4, I would like to think that Hasbro would be smart enough to find a good partner to work with on it. You know. And hey, if nothing else, I have a regular D&D group now, so we just playing D&D. Or I could just play Baldur's Gate
Yep,
3
yep.
again. Or Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Or I could finally fucking play Icewind Dale, which I've never played. 2. Or Planescape.
Oh God,
Yeah.
you sweet summer child.
Or if I'm really, really fucking desperate, I could play Neverwinter Nights.
Now, let's not get crazy.
Let's not get crazy. Well, I did have an interesting character arc with what's her name, elf paladin lady who went off the deep end.
Yeah.
And apparently that
Um,
they have this in a whole bunch of a bunch of fan patching has really up. But anyway, so are we calling it there?
I think that's yeah, I think that's a good capstone for today. It was just kind of chill.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
was
have
chill.
necessarily a ton more to say about it.
Nah, me either.
If we're talking stupid desert news, there is indeed a piece of stupid desert news. You remember how a couple of years ago I said that a lady had gotten lost and passed away in the desert, and they found her body near my home?
Yes, yeah, I recall that one.
Um, they just found human skeletal remains on a street near my house.
Oh, lovely! Like, how near are we talking?
The dirt road just down the street.
Fucking Christ!
um, Now
Jesus!
it's on the dirt road just down the street from my house, but it's at the far end of it near
Yeah.
Amboy.
Yeah.
road.
Okay. So that's not. Yeah. That's. But bear in mind, folks, that you've not listened to this. Harebuck lives in a house that is 8 miles out from 29 Palms, in the Mojave Desert. There is like his nearest neighbors are a kilometer away.
Gall.
The desert, it will kill you. Yeah, there is nothing around. It's very serene and quiet. Like literally, I've sat outside of a morning there, and heard a noise and realized I could hear the beating of a crow's wings as it flew overhead. And it wasn't flying that low. So that's how fucking quiet.
Yeah,
it is.
the first morning he spent here, you know, we stepped outside to kind of watch the sunrise over the mountains, and he was like, "What's that noise?" And I pointed down the road at a car that was literally 3 miles away.
Yeah. It's fucking
And
serene.
he was like, "No, that's not. No, that's not. Oh my god, it is."
I love your fucking house. Love your house.
It's pretty baller. But
I
I
mean,
think that
that's
is
really
a
stupid
good
desert
place
news. That's just
to
terrifying
cap
desert
it.
news. But yes, let's cap it on desert. The desert, it will kill you, as Ghostlin so eloquently put. So yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching me on cam here. We'll be back on Tuesday with more WrestleQuest. Yeah. If you feel inclined to helping support the channel, if you can, patreon.com/Bloodied Fox Gaming, or streaming. Sorry, Bloodied Fox Streaming, all one word. We'll love you. $6 tier gets you in on monthly videos too spicy for Twitch. I have already recorded this month's video. Spoilers, it's for a brilliant little game called My Bestie is a Femboy Streamer. It goes pretty much exactly how you'd think that would with that title. Yes. But yeah, so see that. Have a good rest of the weekend, and see you later. Bye.
Bye.